Let's go.
Welcome everyone to our session 0 for the Fool's Bounty. Got Zoria13 here as your DM for this little mini adventure with Damian. And Damian, go and introduce yourself and your character you're playing.
Well, my name is Damian Alpizar, and I'll be playing Carib of Triton. He is a half human, half elf, born to the sea elves off the coast of Triton there, and I'm a blood hunter, so not that old, still a level 1, a noob in all things, both blood hunting and D&D. So this is going to be a very interesting journey for both me and my character.
We'll see how well all this fares at the end of the day. So you still feel the same. So basically what we're going to go and start off with is currently you are in the city of Lament, and what you're doing in particular is standing at attention with hundreds of other people. You're in a giant crowd, and there's one person that's giving a speech right now, and it's actually the head of the Bounty Hunters Association, in which you're beginning your initiation. Now, as she's giving this very well thought out speech, everyone's very tuned into what she's saying. Everyone's very at attention and really paying attention. Your mind can help put the drift back to what happened before, why you're here, and why you've left your home city. Which your home city itself, where you've technically had to escape from, is Persanthin. You remember back to your early times, and one of the first worst memories that you had is whenever they began testing everyone's magical abilities. So your view changes from this grand arena of hundreds of people to just a small classroom, in essence, with a few handful of other people, and your instructor now informing everyone, we're doing the tests. The test is going to be your magical aptitude. It'll give us your affinity and where we can place you from here. And he begins demonstrating where there's this giant cauldron on a stone platform in the middle of the room. And he grasps both handles firmly and begins to say, don't think, simply release and feel. And when that happens, in that moment, there's just a small flame that begins erupting from that cauldron. He looks around and he looks to you as Carib. Come place your hands in the cauldron.
I walk up and I look at him, a little nervous because this is a big moment for me. I've been trying to prepare and hone my skills, but I have no idea what's in store with this cauldron. I try to clear my thoughts as I place my hands on either side of it. I could feel the hard iron metal that it's made from. Not 100% smooth. A lot of people have gripped this same spot. Something comes over me for a moment. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. I look forward with a blank stare.
And your instructor says, may persona guide you. And roll a d20 for me.
I'm a d20. My first D20. 16.
16, not bad. Okay. So as your mind clears and you begin sitting there and you kind of tune out the voice of your instructor, you allow the energies from your gut traveling through to your palms, and you feel the cauldron begin to heat up in your hands. And as that moment, there's almost this smoke that appears, which then easily dissipates. And you hear a few gasps and shrieks from some of your other classmates in the room. And when you open your eyes from it, one of the fellow students is now having blood trickling from his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears as your magic has been released. Your instructor grabs you quickly. What have you done?
I don't know. I thought about the past, and I tried to be clear. I really did, and I just feel anger. That's all I feel. I tried not to think of anything else. I just felt anger. I just felt rage, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's bad enough we let the devil of your father into the city, but it seems his seed still carries on his legacy, though he has left. Get out of here. Be gone.
I look at him one time, just hoping that he might change his mind, but He just looks too stern. I
Oh,
look over
his
at
eyes are less stern and they are filled with complete disgust.
the person who's bleeding. I try to give him an unapologetic nod, but again, his friends are surrounding him, and he looks at me with disgust as well. I'm feel too familiar with this, and so I decide that it's best that I leave for now.
So as you head out from the room itself, as upon exit, you see the grandiose that city that is Persanthin. It is tall ivory towers with water channels connecting multiple levels that lead eventually down into an open ocean with an island base. And you go down the staircase to one of the channels, and you find your way going home essentially to one of the lower districts. Your mother herself, she is one of the clerics in Persanthin, and one of the higher ones as well. She's a little bit more revered. And in this city itself, anything that's going to be religion based is very important. It's this place is a theocracy, and so you haven't really thrived here because you have no in touchness with religion or the God itself that this entire city is built upon. So as you make your way home, your mother sees that familiar face of you knowing that you've had those eyes of disgust placed on you once more. And she looks at you as you walk in. She says, how did your test go?
It's the same thing. I I tried to be the way you want me to be, and I even for a moment thought about praying, but it's I just don't see things the way they do, and I'm trying my hardest to be someone that you're proud of, but it's just not working. Everything. I mean, I think about you know the past, and I think about what could happen, and then everything just goes wrong. It just goes wrong all the time. I'm just frustrated. That's all.
And she looks at you and she goes, it's okay. I'm always proud of you. You always put your best efforts forward. Although it's not, the others may not see what you do, but I see and I understand and I know what you're going through. But I will never not be proud of you. And so
Thanks.
she goes ahead and she kind of embraces you, gives you that warm hug that you're used to. That's kind of comforting. But she says, "But today's a little bit different, for I do have something I've been saving for you for when you have completed this particular test before your next one." And she pulls out from this small side table, this small ornate box. It's of a dark wood. It has some brass embossing around it, and it's latched with this blackened leather. And when she unravels it and opens the box, there is this very small iron pendant, and it's currently cracked in half. But the chain itself is whole. And she looks and she goes, regardless of what magic affinity you had, I was to give this to you on this day, per your father. He was the one that carried the other half. And she hands you the necklace, and we'll add this to your equipment later on, but this is now your keepsake. What you choose to do with it, how you feel about it is all up to you, but this is what she hands you. And she says, hopefully tomorrow on your ascension day, we will have better luck.
This iron and brass, you said?
It's just a strict iron chain and pendant.
May I ask what the pendant is made of?
Iron as well. It's completely iron.
Got it.
And it's thicker. You notice compared to the elvish jewelry and some of the human jewelry that you've seen in town, this one is not as ornately made. It is a thicker, coarser, rough chain, and the pendant itself is that of like a beaten iron, something that's seen wear and tear.
Gotcha. I take the chain out of the box. I hold it in my hand and I look at it for a while. My father has the other half. She doesn't speak of him often. And when she does, it's always with some love and respect, a little bit of longing, and I can sense that now. I still feel a little bit of discomfort with it, knowing that it was his, wondering why he wasn't here. Maybe that's part of the reason why I can't focus sometimes when it comes to magic. I just don't know that other answer, that other half of me. I look at her and thank her because, Mom, you always know what's best in my heart, and you're always there for me. I don't know what this means to him, but to me, coming from you, I know it means a lot. Thank you.
Of course, dear.
Take it, and for now, I place it around my neck to make sure that it fits and it falls comfortably right here on the right on the chest bone.
It is a little heavier than you're used to because the chain stuff, but it does fit your neckline almost perfectly. Then from the here, you actually have the rest of the day. So you've been kicked out of class essentially. So you have the rest of the day to either explore, attempt to hone your magic if you wish, or whatever else you feel like doing at the moment.
You know, Mom's great, and I need to go for a walk. I love the city. It always walking clears my head. I feel like I need to go for a walk, so I'd like to just take this time and with my newfound chain across my chest, just like to go for a walk a little bit and just go around and see what's up.
Okay. So from your normal walks, there's a few different places that you usually attempt to avoid if possible, which are more the cathedral areas, more the areas of mass worship and where everything is very heavily religious for persona. Then there's your more frequent spots, which are more of the some of the areas near the inner catacombs, and some of the lower trenches and earlier water channels from the original city structures. So where would you like to go?
I have an affinity for water. The catacombs are always a fun spot for me to go to. If I was going to hone my magic, I'd go there, but I think I'm going to stroll by the water first. Um, it's kind of a cleansing, being raised by raised in a seafaring community. The water always has a cleansing effect, so I'm going to go there first to clear my thoughts, and then make a decision from there.
Okay. So you follow your way down through some of the streets. You get some of the more disgusted looks, some of even the fearful looks as people as you walk by. But by this time you're used to it, so you brush it off and continue on. You get to where there's a stone structure, but in between it, there's a large crack that you've been able to press yourself through multiple times. And beyond it, you find yourself in one of the lower districts of the original city. It's no longer traffic, there's no longer anybody there, but it has one of the most natural water channels and natural spring areas. And that's where you normally go to find peace. And there's just warm water, there's waterfalls, there's lush nature growing as it should be, no longer encompassed by the ivory structures that is now above. And you find some tranquility being here. As you get there, it's just a few moments as you're kind of sitting by the water, thinking to yourself of the day, thinking of your past, when something hits the back of your head and it stings a little bit. And when you turn back, there's three of your classmates that have followed you. You think it's funny to do what you do, that you can hurt people, you devil?
Oh man, not you guys. Look, if it wasn't obvious from before, I just want to apologize. All right, look, I just first of all, how'd you even find this place? Ah, look, guys, can we just call it a day? I mean, aren't you even supposed to be in class right now? I'm pretty sure that Teach is gonna wonder what you're doing, and you probably got all kinds of magical stuff you need to be practicing anyways. Can we just not do this today?
Thanks to you, we all got a free day. And no, because we're tired of your shit. Always ruining our classes, always being around. We're done. And you see the main one step forward as is to kind of stay back where they are, but they're in agreement with him and they're attempting to give a opposing, threatening manner overall. But the main one he steps forward to, and you know this one as Urgel. He's one of the water affinity ones, and you guys have always clashed like water and oil.
Hmm. I look at Urgel. I know what he's up to. He wouldn't be this brave if these other two weren't with him, but that's okay. I think to myself for a second, you know what? I've had a bit of a pissy day. I stand up and I turn to Urgel and I look at him and I say, are you sure you want to do this today? Just because you got your two little backups, you want to go there today? I'm just trying to have my own little time here, man.
There's no better than today. It has to be today. In fact, I'm gonna do the city a favor and I'm gonna get rid of you myself. And from here, we're gonna roll initiative. So take your d20, and on your character sheet, you will see an initiative. You should have a +1, I believe, for yours. So you add that to whatever you roll on your d20.
Cool. And I'm looking at, and where's my initiative? There it is, +1. Yep. Ooh, okay. 15 plus
15?
1, 16.
Okay. So for this particular combat encounter, you will be going first. So what would you like to do?
Well, anytime I have to think about a bully, I figure the best way to do is to take them out quickly and embarrass them. So I think I'm going to start with an embarrassment move. Do I have all my weapons?
So you do not have your bladed whip yet.
All right. So I have my crossbow and my unarmed strike.
Mhm.
All right. Crack my neck a few times, and I look at him. One thing that Mama didn't raise, no matter how much religious she tried to make me, she didn't raise no punk. In fact, the first time I remember going back to her crying when I did have to face bullies, she was the first to tell me, you cannot be bullied. You have to face your bullies. You don't have to become a bully, but you have to face them. So, and when I didn't win that fight, she proceeded to give me a whipping. So I learned from that lesson. I was like, I'd rather face them than my mother.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
She's a respectful cleric, but she will put a whooping on you. So I cracked my neck a couple times. I walk up to him. Distance between us is probably what?
About
10,
like 10, 15 feet.
10, 15 feet. So I walk up to him. I keep a 5-foot gap at first. Look at him dead in his eyes. And I want to I want to embarrass him. So what I'm going to do is I want to literally um you know what? Yeah, I want to slap him. I want to just walk
Okay.
up to him and just look at him dead in his face, and I want to just give him the world's most I don't care about you bitch slap ever.
Okay. So we'll say for slap purposes, the slap will connect. Do an intimidation roll for me. So roll your d20, and you should have an ability called intimidation. So you're going to add your modifier to that.
Oh man, I should have thought about this before. My intimidation is a -1. And it's an 8. No intimidation.
So your slap connects, just smacks him, and his face turns, and it doesn't hurt so much, but you thought it would really bruise his ego. But all he does is he kind of cocks his head back at you and goes, big mistake. And then he's going to go and take his turn. And from his pocket, he's going to pull out a knuckle, a brass knuckle, and apply it to his hand. And he's going to deck you in the face. So that is going to be a 15 to hit. So that does connect with you. And that's going to be, you're going to take 3 points of damage as he just connects you straight in your right here underneath your eye, right in your jawbone. And he says to you, I told you today will be the day that you're done.
3 damage. All right.
And from here, you can hear the two behind him snickering and kind of, trying to amp him up as the bully backups do. But that will be his turn, and from here is now yours once more.
At this point, I'm pissed. Honestly, I was going to just try to make him go away, but he needs to be taught a lesson. But I feel that rage kicking in again, and I don't want to be blind about it. I'm trying to hold it back a little bit, but he's pulled out brass knuckles, so now it's a weapons fight. I do have my crossbow, and I'm very, very cautious as to not use this just yet. So this is a brawl. Um, I think I'm going to, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and hit him one more time, but this time I want to. How far are we from that river?
So you'd have been sitting by it whenever they approached. You got up and walked about the 15 feet. So you're 15 feet from it. He's about 20 feet from it.
Okay, too far for that. All right, I'm gonna go for a trip this time. I want to just kind of just take him down in a tripping type style. Um, again, I'm trying to embarrass him and hurt him, but not necessarily knock him out just yet.
Okay. So you're trying to go for like a sweep the leg maneuver.
Yeah, kind of like the sweep the leg. I want to get him on his back,
Okay.
or at least push him down.
So that should be roll for your unarmed strike.
16.
16. So that'll hit. So go ahead and it's going to be 2 bludgeoning damage. So he's going to take 2 damage from this. You go ahead and just reeling back from that kick, use that momentum to drop your weight, and you swipe at his ankles with your leg, and he just completely goes on his side. So he's now prone. With that, did you want to use any movement to back up, move around at all, or are you still going to stay where you are?
The thing is, I want him to. You know what? He's prone, so I got him at an advantage right now. No, actually, I don't want to back up. Um, if anything, is there such thing as a mount action? Can I mount
So
him?
there is a grapple, but you would have to wait to your next turn. So your action was to get him to the ground. Next turn, you can actually grapple him if you wanted to.
Gotcha. All right. Um, you know what? Even though it's not an attack, can I draw my crossbow and point it at him?
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
Okay. He's down on the ground. He fell. Blood spits from my lip that he busted. And as he's on the ground, I draw my crossbow and point it at him, just right there while he's on the ground. I don't pull the trigger. It is cocked. It is loaded. But now he's on the ground, and this just became a fight. And I want him to know, as I look at him and straight in his eyes, if you keep going, one of us isn't making it to class tomorrow. Maybe not ever.
Okay. Do another intimidation for me. So what
D20,
this goes. Yep, D20 with that -1.
13.
13. Okay, you can see his eyes get less brave. He isn't completely turned from his course of action, but you can see that there is a little bit of wavery in his eyes there.
All right.
So from there, it'll go on to his turn. Now, as you're focused down and pointing, you do feel a gust of wind from one of the. Oh my goodness. One of the bully backups as he used a gust spell. So this one comes from Laird. Laird is a wind user, as you know, very normally shy to himself, but seeing as how it's a 3-on-1, he's going to take his action, use a gust spell, and he's going to push you back 10 feet.
Laird, you sneaky son of a bitch, stay out of this.
And then from there, Ergo will go ahead and use his whole movement and action to get himself up off the ground, and that will be it. And then from there, it'll be your turn again.
So I'm back 10 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm only 5 feet from the water.
Correct.
He's a water elemental, right?
Ergo? Yes.
Yeah. Ergo. How far am I from that crack in the wall?
I mean, that's probably like a good 30 ways back. So that would have been from the entry point down to the water.
And they're between me and that entryway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm now only 10 feet back from Ergo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I brace myself as I just catch myself from the wind pushing me back, watching Ergo scramble back to his feet. This time, my crossbow never loses sight of Ergo, stays dead on him the entire time. I look at him again and I say, Ergo, you and your lackeys here can try to outnumber me, but I'm telling you right now, whatever damage they deal on me, I'm going to double it on you.
And you see, that's the difference. I have friends, and you're alone, and you won't be able to do anything to us.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll just have to take them out later. But I'm pretty certain that if you go down, they're not really your friends. They're just here because you probably intimidated them too. That's all right. I know how to deal with your kind. I'm going to go ahead and fire my bolt at his leg.
Okay, going for like upper thigh,
That
knee
upper
shot.
thigh, yeah. Again, I know what my mom's going to say if I end up killing this dude. So I'm trying to just make him go the away. So roll for.
So it's a crossbow, so you can roll your d20 plus 3 to attack.
16. I'm getting a lot of 16s in this. I like this box.
So that is going to be hit. So go ahead and roll your d6 for damage, and then you're going to add 1 to it.
All right, which one's my d6?
It's the normal cube one.
This one? Just
Yep.
make sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that one with the line is a 6, not a 9.
Yep.
Okay. Oof. 1 plus what?
1. So you do a total of 2 damage. So as you're looking at Ergo and you just see the cockiness, see the smug in him, you're like, you know what? I'm over this guy. And you shoot your bolt and it lands right through the flesh and it goes to his bone. And you can see him just wince in pain as he lets out this gurgling scream. And he's just like, I'll get you for this, devil.
You can try, but you can't run with that leg. At this point, I'm going to use my movement to start to side flank and put a little distance between me and that water. I want to make sure that if he wants that water, he's going to have to run for it. And I'm kind of going at an angle so that if the crack is behind them, I'm now flanking away from the water towards the crack, but still keeping about an equal distance from them. So I'm still roughly 10 feet away. I'm just 10 feet away and to the right.
Okay, so you're just trying to, as you can, just angle around until you can get that kind of clear way to the...
Yeah. I'm in other words, for them to face me, they would now have to be at a 45 degrees so that the crack is at a 45, the river's at a 45, and they're kind of in the center.
Okay. All right. So from there, you're going to see the other two still kind of enjoying what's going on, but at the same time being very cautious because they're looking at Ergo take those hits, and they're as not as bold as he is, and you know this very well. But Ergo, you can see him; he's kind of gritting his teeth a little bit. He goes to touch the bolt to see if he can maybe get it out, but it's in there deep, and he winces. He's not going to touch it. So what he's going to do, so you're still 10 feet. So if you would have moved 45, you've been 15 feet overall so you would have put an extra 5 feet between you and him, but 5 feet closer to the crack, essentially. What he's going to do is he's going to use both his movement and his action as a tandem thing, and he's going to attempt to tackle you.
Okay.
And so you're going to do a strength check. So you can roll your d20 and add your strength modifier to it.
So my strength modifier is a 1. I got my d20.
So he rolled an 8. He's got to beat an 8.
I rolled an 11 without the modifier, so 12.
Oh, okay. So he goes and he lurches at you. He takes a few steps and he goes to jump and tackle. How do you want to deflect or avoid his tackle attempt?
As I watch him approach me with his dumb brute attack, I almost have enough time to shake my head slowly. And I'm going to lift my forward leg and hit the leg that happens to have that bolt in it. Put my foot right on the bolt, letting him feel that pain even more, and just with my front foot on his front leg at that bolt, just kick a little bit so that his tackle shoves off to the side. And I just watch him tumble past me in a pile of embarrassment.
Okay. Roll another d4. Since you're hitting that bolt and it's digging deeper, it is going to do some additional damage. So
The D4 is
it's the one that looks like a pyramid.
this guy.
Yeah.
Let me get my D20 out of this so they don't clash. Which one do I know it is? I guess
It's
two.
the one that'll be on the top. Yeah.
Two.
Two? Okay. So that bolt sinks in, and you can see it from there. You hear the bone that it was originally dug into just crack as the bolt continues its trajectory through and is now nearly out the back end of his leg as he drops, and there's now blood coming down. Now, with his tackle attempt at you and all that momentum, as you do that, he does begin to roll and slide towards that water channel that would carry him out.
Hmm.
But he stops just a few feet short, but he is there grunting, and his other two friends are kind of looking there. The one that has yet to do anything though is not as scared as the other one. It seems that he is plotting something, but he is not doing anything as of yet. So it would effectively be back up to your turn.
Okay. So his name's Ergo, the guy on the floor. Jerkwad over there. All right. So I watch as Ergo lands closer to the water. It bothers me a little bit because he's a little bit better with his magic than I am. Well, let's face it, he actually has magic, and I haven't quite figured mine out yet. But I see that leg, and I know that injury, and pretty certain he's not going to be able to chase after me if I wanted to leave. If he has to do anything, he'd have to do a distance throw. So to be honest, he's almost out of my concern at the moment. I look over at the other two. One of them clearly shocked. His little wind spell means that he was all full of wind, and I could tell that from here. I look at the third guy. What's his name? Do I know him?
We'll do Lance.
Lance. Of course, it's Lance. Lance and Ergo are always hanging out. Lance is Ergo's little backup buddy. I suspect they have a little bit more than just a friendship, but I don't judge.
Little butt buddies in the night, but who knows? It's never confirmed.
Yeah, it's more like Lance wants to be with Ergo, but that's not happening. So Lance is looking for an opportunity to probably make Ergo, proud of him or something like that. But now between that little push and Ergo being over there, I'm about how far from this crack?
So you would have moved. You're about 15 feet from the crack now. You would have moved up between your movement and that little maneuver. Yeah, 15 feet away.
So Lance is what element? Do I know what element Lance has?
So Lance, you have not seen take his test. You only know that he's always around.
Mm-hmm.
But he is out of the group. He is the more fit one.
All right, Lance. Of course, Lance would be the fit buff dude who wants to be with Ergo. All right. So I stand and I look at Ergo crying in pain over there. That leg's pretty much done. He's not running at me anytime soon. And Larrick is over there and he's just full of crap, so I'm not worried about him. Lance, on the other hand, is kind of flexing and he's looking at me like he was ready to do something. My crossbow's already been fired, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm not a crossbow anything, so do I have to use an action to reload it?
No, it would be part of your normal attack action, to where you would have that reflex where you would shoot and reload for your next turn.
Cool. I know how to handle a crossbow. Great. So I'm going to, at this point, move towards the crack first. Technically, my speed is 30, but this crack is 15, and Lance is still something to deal with, but I don't want to just move straight for the crack. I'm going to move towards the crack, put myself in a position where now, if possible, the crack is behind me, and Lance is now between me and Ergo, and it's about a 15 feet or 20 feet closer, or how you said the crack was 15 feet away. So
yeah.
I move about 10 feet or just about 12 feet, just right before the crack. So the crack is really right at my back. Raise my crossbow, pointed at Lance, and I want to look at him dead in his eye and said, "You have two choices. You can go help your friend, or you can come chase me. Now I'm going to tell you what, you come chase me, there's a good chance that you're going to end up like your friend. On the other hand, that looks pretty deep. and he could bleed out pretty quick. And there's two of you, and it's going to take you both to carry him. So, choice is yours.
Okay. So as you're saying this, Lance's face lights up. It is the most sickening smile that you can imagine. The ends of his lips curl almost into each other as you're saying this. And his little wind buddy that's also staring at you do this with him to his back doesn't realize, but Lance pulls this club that he's been hiding and whacks him straight across the back of the head, knocks him out unconscious. Blood is coming from his head. Urgel's still on the floor over there. He's screaming, "What are you doing?" And Lance's face is just like, this is the best day of his life. And he's like, finally, I can kill who I want, and I can blame it on the devil, and no one will bat an eye.
Son of a bitch.
So from there, that will be your turn, and he's going to walk over to Urgel as part of his, and he's going to kick him as hard as he can. And that's a 17 for his kick. He's going to kick Urgel dead in the face and push him into the water channel.
Urgel's not a really good swimmer, I'm assuming, especially with a messed up leg.
That, and you know what salt water does to blood.
Yeah.
So he kicks that, and he looks over and goes, "Up to you what you want to do. You can run, and I can tell everyone, or you can go die with him. Your choice." And from there, he's kind of waiting to see what you do.
So Larrick is knocked out. Windboy's knocked out.
Windboy is knocked out. He's with the harder hit, with him not knowing what's coming and being that right there. He took a heavy hit to the back of the head. It is profusely bleeding, but you can still see his body breathing a little bit, so you know he's not dead, but he is out.
And Urgel's floating away.
Yeah, so the water channel is starting to carry him down, and you know from being down here that this channel, with it being part of the original city, drops.
Oh, shit. Urgo's floating away. Lance is between me and Urgo. If I run and my bolt is stuck in Urgo's leg, this is all going on internally in my head real quick. Mm-hmm. If I run, Lance tells on me my bolt is stuck in Urgo's leg. So if they find Urgo's body later on, they're just going to blame me for the double murder. If I don't run, I got to face off with Lance, and Urgo's still down, but Urgo's still conscious, right?
Urgo, yes, he was still conscious when he got kicked into the river. So you can see him try, like you see his head bobbing, and you can see him trying to keep his tread underneath him and keep his head up, but it's a losing battle for him.
And it's exactly 30 feet from the crack to the river, right?
So from that point where you were at, so it's less of a river and more of a caved out or a carved out channel. Now, from where you were at originally, it's the door, and that is about 30 feet. However, if you run from where you are to the right, that's about a 10 feet, and then it's about a 5-foot gap, and then you could attempt to jump into the channel from there. Okay. It's just not right up next to it like how the other part was.
And and Urgo is heading towards that gap, right?
Urgo is heading towards here, I'll do this. I'll go super high tech stuff here.
I just need to know if he's flowing towards my path, because if that's the case, I know what I'm going to do.
Urgo, so he would be essentially, so let's say, okay, sorry for the quick crude drawing, but so let's say here's the crack, here's where you are. Yep. Right here, there's the gap where you would have to jump. The channel is currently going this way with Urgo about here, but the current is moving him about 5 to 10 feet per round. Lance is here, and then Windboy.
Gotcha. I like we call him Windboy now. All right. 5 feet to jump the gap, and I can get there. I'm going to shake my head. I'm like, fuck me. Urgo's an asshole, but I didn't want to kill him. And Lance is an actual, now apparently a monster. So I'm going to go and dash, and I'm going to save Urgo. I'm going to try to make that save, because to be honest, I could take on Lance, but I can't take him on and not have a witness of someone. I need someone to be witness to this situation, and hopefully, I can get Ergo to at least save him, and we can talk about this asshole Lance here in a little bit. So let's go and save Ergo. I don't think I have to dash. I could just run and use my action to jump, my dexterity.
You can. So there's a few different ways. You just want to try and just clear this like an Olympian, or do you want to try and do some fancy footwork to get through it? How do you want to clear that?
Well,
gap?
it's a gap. I mean, there's one thing that I'm really good at is I am pretty, and it's only 5 feet. I mean, it's not a big deal. Like I could run that. So I'm going to just shake my head and gather my strength. I'm just going to be like, screw this. And I'm going to just bolt and run and head towards this gap, and I'm going to hit it at full strength. 1 foot leap, arm swaying, jump over the top so that way I can land on the other side. But I guess I have to do a check somewhere in there probably.
So we're going to do an athletics check.
Athletics check. All right,
Yes.
cool. How's my athletics looking? Athletics is a +1. Strength +1. Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm.
So what do I roll? I'm sorry, this is part of
D20, and then you're going to add the +1 to your roll.
D20, then +1. Not that great. 7 +1, 8.
Okay. So you do manage to clear the gap. You go ahead and you take your full movement as you are running, and you about to leap off. Part of that, where that gap is there's some moss and some mildew that's there. So your foot does partially slip. So as you make the 5 foot gap and you're heading into the channel, you do go ahead and land in an odd way, and you are going to take 1 point of damage.
All right. It's like fall as I clear, and I'm in the air. I'm like, I'm going to get to this guy. I'm going to hit that thing. And of course, it just so happens it was a little mossy and a little wet and a little slippery. And my graceful looking jump turns into a quick elbow roll bop on the back of the shoulders, like, shit, damn it. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to make Argo pay for this crap. It's his fault anyways that I'm even doing this right now. I bounce back up, and I'm kind of like shaking it off as I finish my movement. And is it enough movement to get me to the edge of the channel?
So you would have been 10 feet to jump. So you would still have 20 feet. So you are in the channel now. The channel is roughly about 20 feet deep. So you are having to tread water, and across wise, it's about 25 width. So you do still have 20 feet of movement, but because you are swimming, it is going, no, actually, you don't get disadvantage for swimming. So you can swim at 20 feet.
I don't get disadvantage for swimming. So do I have to swim to him because he's moved 10 feet towards me by now, right? And during that move, so he should only be like a 5 foot maybe gap or whatever the case is.
Correct.
Right?
So you can swim to him and grab him, or you can kind of brace yourself to allow him to get to you.
I'm gonna brace myself and allow him to get to me, just because I his legs already messed up, and I'm gonna yell at him as he's coming towards me. He's like, your best pal over here just took your boy out. He's fucking crazy, man. Come on, man, give me your hand. And hopefully he'll take that offering of. He did witness the Wind Boy get knocked out, right?
Oh, he saw it, and then he watched his Lance walked up, so he kicked him square in the face. So he's all about it. So right now he's not contesting. He's like, you may have shot me in the leg, but he kicked me into this water channel that we don't know where it goes.
Right. So I reach out my hand, and I'm waiting for him to take it as he comes towards me with my legs in a forward like stance, braced for him to come in. My one hand is just holding back, making sure that the water's firmly passing through me, and I should be able to catch him firmly with at least a good forearm grab and pull him out.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead, and it's going to be the top of their turn now. So Lance is still smiling, but he is walking over to where you made that jump. He gets to the gap, but he can't really reach anything from there. But he's kind of looking at you, and he goes, and he looks for a rock on the ground, and he attempts to throw it, but Lance, even for as fit as he looks, has little bitch arms and throws it way off. It's just, it's the worst throw you've ever seen in your life. You can't help but chuckle as you're swimming, like, pathetic. In that moment, as you were kind of keeping an eye out what Lance was doing, Ergo has gone ahead and the current has brought him to you. I need you to make a strength check.
So my strength is
+1.
+1. Got it. 9.
9. That's what the
10.
+1?
No, 10. I
Okay.
always read off what I roll first.
All right. So as you're kind of bracing there, the current, you weren't expecting it to be as strong as Ergo slams into you, and you manage to grab onto him. But in the process of doing that, you do let go of the ledge. You lose your grip. So you both have been pulled and are going with the current now and are moved back 10 additional feet. It's about 5 feet until you know that channel breaks off and you don't know where. That'll be their turn, and now it's the top of yours. So right now you have Ergo. Any movement you do right now, because you are carrying, even though you're not at disadvantage or anything for it being water, because you're carrying another body, you are at half movement now.
Right. So 5 feet to the channel, dumps out. Here's the thing. I know that the channel dumps out. Do I know, just out of curiosity, how much of a drop that channel is? Because I'm a hell of a swimmer.
You are. However, you've never been brave enough to actually allow the channel to take you all the way down. You don't know how far it goes. You do know that from this lower part, in general, from where the original city structure was to the base of the island and where the water is, it is a few hundred feet. Now, if there's anything that may break that up in the mean ways from where you are, you're unsure of.
Yeah.
But you know it is still a pretty decent drop in general.
100-foot dive is 100-foot dive, no matter how you split that. All right, so I'm going to use my movement to pull Ergo out of the water and right up on the bank of the channel. And while I'm doing this, I want to tell him, if you have any tricks with this water thing, now's your chance to use it. I pull him up and I kind of, get us out of the water. And I know that I only have half movement. So the channel, you said it's how far across when I caught him?
It's 25 foot wide. So it would have only cost you like 5 feet because you were already holding the edge whenever he hit you. So it wouldn't have put you that far off to the side.
So 5 feet. So I'm going to use so it basically cost me 10 feet to cross the 5 feet to get him out, allowing me to still have a few more feet. So I want to get him, at least 5 feet from the water, get him, solid on solid ground. And so that's my movement. Do I have any additional actions left because I had to pull him out?
So, or are you trying to push him up, or are you just getting him to the edge?
I'm pushing him up. I'm getting him out of the water. I need to get him out of the water.
Okay.
We need to both be on solid ground.
Okay. So that's just going to be another strength check then, since you're going to use your action to attempt to hoist or push him up to help him get out of the water.
All right. Strength check it is. So I got to roll it so I can see it. Oh, that's hard to tell. It's okay. So it looks like it's 16. I'm upside down. It's a 16. Yes.
Okay. So it's going to be
16
a 17
plus
total?
1, 17. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So you're able to go ahead and muster up just some strength, and you're able to throw him up to the edge of the channel there. He does kind of waver a bit because where you put him on the edge of the channel, it is overlooking that gap that you had to clear. So he is kind of a little nervous, but he says he gets there and he's like, so he breathes. From there you have another 5 feet from there, now that he's gone, you would have 10 more feet of movement, but just no further actions.
Right. At this point, I want to be at least 5 feet from him, kind of like at arm's length, stabilize him a little bit because I know he's on one leg, and just kind of like I want to look at him and say, "Hey, man, I need you to just be with me on this one, okay, man? We can settle our differences later, but for right now, that dude means business. You with me?"
And so he's sitting there, so and he's like, I appreciate you saving me. I was worried that you weren't going to.
Look, To be honest, I thought about it twice. Not gonna lie, but this guy right here means business, and we just don't need to deal with that today.
Agreed. So that'll be your turn. So from now it's Lance and Urgo's turn. And Urgo's looking at and he's going, agreed. I can't believe Lance would do this. But it's all according to plan. And his face changes as well. And he kicks you back into the channel, right in your chest, and you go curling over the edge of the channel.
Okay. Question: 25-foot gap wide channel, right? High current.
Mm-hmm.
And what's on the other side of that channel?
The channel, it literally just it ends there, and it's a waterfall down.
Gotcha. You fucktards.
Is that what you're thinking as you're going over the edge?
Pretty much. As I'm going over the edge, I'm like, I should have let that guy drown. I should have just let him drown. You know what? Okay. I see what we're dealing with. So I land into the water and I take a moment, actually. The head goes over, my feet go over my head. I fall into the water and I just kind of just brace myself. My sea elven abilities to, basically move freely through the water and being able to basically hold my breath or slightly breathe. I'm not. Did the half elves? They don't breathe. They hold their breath very long.
Yeah, you're able to hold it longer than most.
So I go under there and I just take a moment and I hold my breath for a moment and I think about this for a second. Okay, there's two of them. They're both jerks. They're not gonna let me out of this without dying. I just feel that rage and the cold water flowing over me. But even though I'm cold on the outside, I'm just burning hot on the inside. And I'm just like, fuck it. That's it. I'm done. So now I look, my eyes peering through the water. I can see fairly clearly. This water's pretty clear. I'm assuming it's a channel.
Yeah, it's a natural channel, so it's very pristine water.
Very pristine. But their visibility from the top is what?
Their visibility down on you right now, as you're going over the edge, they have perfect visibility on you. You being a little bit lower, Lance has about 3/4 cover, so you can maybe see chest up from where he is. Ergo, since he was still crouched on the edge of the channel ledge, you can see him, but you can see maybe the side profile of his shoulder and that leg that was already wounded.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to. How deep does this channel go?
It's 20 feet deep.
20 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to move back and down. I have 30 feet of movement unhindered, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to move back and down and move basically in a semicircle, hopefully losing some of the visibility, trying to do basically a stealth move to move around and behind so that they can lose visibility on me as I swim back and around and behind where Ergo was, and he's still next to that big gap, right?
Correct.
I want to move in around behind him. And what are my actions as far as getting out of the water, building up momentum in my swim to take a jump out of the water? How fast am I? Because I have encumbered movement, so I could technically move and jump similar as I would on land, correct?
Correct. So you have now that would be correct in the sense if there wasn't water going against you, because now you are swimming upstream. So we're going to do a series of 2 checks. The first we're going to do is a stealth check.
Mm-hmm.
So you can roll your d20 and add your stealth modifier onto it to see if you can effectively sneak up to them.
So my stealth modifier, where are you? Forgive me, I'm still new to the board. Strength,
That's
charisma,
going to be
wisdom.
under your abilities and saves, and then on the right side you'll see, or a little bit further down, you'll see where it has like all your acrobatics, IMO handling, and it'll be like at the bottom. So you get a +1 to stealth.
I still don't see it, but You say +1. Stealth. Oh, there it was. My screen wasn't scrolled down all the way. That makes sense. That helps to see the whole sheet.
Yep.
All right. It's a 9.
9 in
10.
total. 10
Well,
total.
10 total.
Okay. And then now for this one, we are going to do.
Instead of just the dexterity or acrobatics.
This one, it's less acrobatics and it's more athletics because you're trying to push your way up current to be able to jump out of the water. So that's going to be athletics.
So my strength has a +1, so it's 12 + 1 or whatever. Okay. Athletics. 17.
17. Nice. Okay. So you're not as stealthy as you can. They have a clear vantage point over you. So they see you move, and for a moment with your speed, they kind of lose where you are. And Urgo looks down at last moment. He's like, oh, there he is, as you're shooting yourself out of the water towards him.
Right.
From here, what did you want to do once you...
My crossbow is already cocked. As I'm leaping and coming out of the water and the water is splashing, I'm hoping that enough water is, because I'm close enough to him. I'm only about a 5-foot distance from him. So I'm close enough to him that I'm hoping that some of my water as I'm splashing up is disrupting his visuals a little bit. There's a little bit of water going towards him. It is salt water. He's wounded. He's still there. He was standing right by the chasm. So I'm going to aim and I'm going to shoot him essentially I'm going straight for center mass. I'm going to try to not miss. I'm going to try to shoot him and push him back into that damn gap.
Okay. So before we roll, just you know, your crossbow itself has an effective range of 30 feet. However, once you're within 5 feet, you do roll at disadvantage, which means you roll the d20 twice and you take the lowest number. So
Okay.
if you want to, I'll allow you to retcon this one just because, you know, it's your first one doing that way. If you want to just keep yourself at least a 10-foot back coming out of the water.
Okay. All right. So let me move to 10 feet. Sorry. But now that I know that, so I have to remember that. My crossbow is a disadvantage at 5 feet.
Right. Any in close range, basically. So if
Close
they're right
range.
next to you, it's disadvantage.
Got it. Copy that. So I'm going to jump. I'm going to swim. And so in other words, I'm going to use 10 feet in my movement of my swim, jump up and midair, still splashing. Not as much water gets in his eyes this time because I'm 10 feet away. But it's sparkling and it looks really cool. And I'm going to shoot at him center mass with my crossbow.
All right, roll your attack.
It's an 18.
Okay, that's definitely going to hit. So now you're going to roll for your damage, which is the d6 plus 1.
D6 plus 1. Shit, it's only a 2.
That's fine. It's still damage. So as you leap up and he was kind of looking for you, you were able to land the bolt right in his left shoulder as he was trying to find you. And you can see it kind of careen him back, but he does catch him. Actually, let's see. Where I say that. He does not catch himself on the ledge from the bolt. So he does roll over the edge and begin to fall. Okay. Lance does make a jump for him to try and catch him, and he does grasp the back of his tunic before letting him fall. So he is dangling by one arm of Lance.
So right now, Lance is hanging over a gap, with Argo
dangling inside
him. So his other arm is just holding the club.
That club that he had concealed before. And so now it's the top of their turn, since he used a reaction to go ahead and try and grab Ergo before he flipped over at the end of yours. So he will attempt to pull Ergo up. He begins to pull him up with that same moss that you were having trouble with that caused you to slip. He also slips on it, and you hear Ergo shriek as he believes he's about to be dropped. From there, you see Ergo's own arms reach up, just little. Here's the edge, and you just see these little dangling fingers. Can't find purchase, and that is their turn. It is your turn now.
Ergo's dangling by a thread, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Lance is barely holding on. You know what? I cleared that jump pretty good. I'm 10 feet away right now. You know.
So with you landing back in, you would have gone just 5 more back.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to use your movement to get back up to the ledge and then jump with the additional movement,
Right.
which from the current.
You know what? They're both at a disadvantage right now. I'm going to walk right up to them, make sure that I'm 10 feet away. Aim my bolt this time at Lance's arms.
Mm.
One, I'm going to aim right at his arms, the one that's holding Ergo, and the one that's basically his strong arm, because I'm assuming he's using a strong arm to hold Ergo right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Take
going
a
to aim.
strong hand.
Take my strong hand. So I'm gonna walk up to him and not gonna say shit. I'm done with words. I just want to take fine aim and I want to just fire a bolt right into Lance's arm.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your attack.
7. No, that's not a 7. It's a 1.
It's a 1?
It's a
Oh,
1.
no.
Oh no.
So we will say that as you're going to shoot, because of the water that's been being applied and the pressure that's been applied to the crossbow, as you go to shoot, the bolt itself actually ends up slipping free of the track that it's on, and it spirals out, hits next to where the lance is, and bounces back in the water. During this time, from it springing in that action to where you're not used to it, it does give you a momentary freak out, for lack of terms, and that you lose some of the grip that you would normally have in the channel, and it pushes you an additional 5 feet.
Can I bullshit right now?
You bullshit, go try.
Next one will go right into your head.
Okay. Intimidate with, I want to say, I'll do advantage only because he has seen you still keep yourself alive under all this shit. So yeah, intimidation check with advantage.
All right.
So that means you roll twice and you take the higher number and then add your modifier.
So the first one is a 14.
Okay.
And the second one is a. Oh, shoot. I can't. Okay. I'm going to say that one's a 3 because it kind of, as I moved it, it rolled into 3. I wasn't sure if it was a 19 or a 3, but I'm going to say 3.
I'll let you re-roll that one. Since it moved as you touched it, we'll do a re-roll.
Yeah, let me flatten out my little thing here. 18.
18? Okay. So you say that, and your entire face just goes completely stoic, but you mean business. And he can see, almost without your knowledge or control, that open blood magic that you have control over almost permeates in your eyes, causing them to flicker black for a moment. And you see just the sheer terror in his face, and he goes white a little bit, and he's kind of thinking of his next move.
I'm as pissed at missing as I am at these two bastards even coming in here and messing with my space.
So it is now their action again. Lance is going to let go of Urkel. Let him fall into the gap itself. Then he's going to stand up and take his club, and you see him grasp the club tightly. And you've never seen Lance's magic, but you now know that his magic is related to earth and ground, as his club itself becomes hardened, almost with the stone etching around it. And he picks it up with both hands and slams it down on the channel. And you feel the reverberation, and even the water itself kind of moves. And in that moment, you hear cracking as the channel is now giving way, and the part where you are gives out under you.
Do I get a reaction? Because does it give out like completely, like it's about as deep as the other one, or just like rumbling a little bit?
So think of like the Titanic, where he struck and one part just went.
Gotcha.
The edge. So I will say, as a reaction to this, just so you don't plummet down without just swimming there, you can attempt to save yourself. how would you like to try and save yourself? That'll determine your role.
Honestly, since I had just landed, I was kind of in a crouch position when I fired a little bit, and I was, my legs were already kind of loaded.
Mhm.
Him doing that and slamming, I would naturally want to do a spring backwards. If I and then most likely I would have to, uh, because of my elven flair, I'm going to probably do a backflip as I'm flipping backwards. Making sure that my feet are clear and over top of my head, so that way I do not run into any slippage. Just like stick a landing behind me about 5 feet back.
Okay. So you're right now, you're on the channel edge, you're looking at land. So a backflip would put you back into the channel. Do you want to do a front flip instead to get behind him?
Oh, sorry. Now that I understand yep, because I thought you meant he broke the hole, the gap that Argon
No.
fell
He
into.
broke the channel itself. He slammed his now stoned club or hardened club into the channel, and because it's an older structure, it caused that reverberation to make it crack.
Gotcha. And so now the water's kind of going to rush in this way.
So no, so
Sorry.
you're here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the water's going this way, and he smacked over here to make where you're standing fall completely. So the water's still going the same direction, but where you're standing is now falling down into
Gotcha.
that
So I got to do a
drop.
front flip forward. I got to do a forward flip. Okay. All right.
So we'll do an acrobatics check.
All right. Roll a d20.
Yep. And for acrobatics,
I have a plus 3.
Yeah.
And that is a 7, 10.
Okay. Go ahead and okay. So you do the front flip and you land. You do land remotely close to where the moss patch is going to be. You didn't quite clear as much distance as you thought.
Moss.
roll just a dexterity check for me real quick. Or save, I should say.
17.
17? Okay. So knowing that moss, you're mid-air and you're like, I'm not going to make it. Shit, I'm not going to make it. And you see where you're going to land. You're like, moss is there. Brace. And you do a weight shift at the last moment so that way your second landing foot is the one you actually apply pressure to. So you do not slip on that moss. And you are effectively next to Lance now. And from there, it is your turn.
I'm spring loaded as I landed. There's still that chasm right. Is the chasm that gap?
You guys are right next to it now.
We're right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead, and Lance is bigger than me, but I'm already spring loaded and he's just did his slam. He's probably not expecting this, but I'm going to do a full blown kick right into Lance's ribs to try to knock him into that chasm.
Okay. So that would be an unarmed strike. So roll for your attack.
Again, a 17. I like this dice. I'm not getting any 20s, but it definitely getting 17s.
So you nail him square in the lower ribs, and you can feel some of it just kind of give way, and you hear a few cracks, and he winces hard. He does take a full 2 damage from your unarmed strike there, but even though some of it's cracked from him being as fit as he is, you know that it didn't cause him as much damage as his muscles built up in those areas. So he's able to still hold himself firm. Did you want to do anything else? Did you want to attempt to move at all?
I do want to attempt to move, but at this point, I'd be at a disengage, right?
Correct. So if you attempt to move now, he would get an opportunity attack because you don't have a disengage action or anything.
Right. So just to understand this, Chasm's over here. Lance is between me and the gap. I kicked him, but he didn't fall in. He just took a 2 damage. Yeah, at this point, I'm going to have to take a chance. I'm going to have to put a little bit of distance between me and that club. So I'm going to disengage and move back. How many feet do I have left?
You still have your full movement. So this is the top of your turn. So you have 30 feet if you want to attempt to move.
I'm going to put I'm going to try to put a distance between us because right now, so Argo's, he's in the hole.
Urgo's fallen. You haven't heard anything since.
You know what? I'm not even going to check on fuck Urgo. He can stay in the hole. I don't care where he's at. I don't care if he's holding on by a damn thread. He can just stay there. I'm going to move back, and right now, as much as I'm as pissed as I am at this guy now, I just want to wail in on him. I just want to but I need to back off. I need to keep a cool head. My mom always told me, she said, keep it cool, keep your cool, keep your cool. So I'm going to, after I watched him kick and I'm just satisfied by the feeling of that, ribs underneath my foot. I just felt like I had just hit a rubber uh, punching bag, and this guy barely winced. And I already know that I'm just not that good of a hand-to-hand fighter, but I am good enough to hold myself down. But I'm going to put a little bit of distance as I load my crossbow again. I'm going to back off, taking the chance here to put a little distance between me and him, because I need him. I need him to be at that gap, and I need to be making my way back towards my crack, my
Okay.
my entrance.
So as you attempt to go ahead and move, he is going to do his opportunity attack. So with him being already down from his slam when you kicked him, he's still in a lower position, and he's going to swing his club and attempt to smack your ankles, leg area in general. So that's going to be a 17, which is third. So that one does it. So he is going to smack your ankles, which is going to not knock you down. It is going to hit you for 4 damage total. And do another dexterity check for me, or save. I'm sorry.
19.
19. All right. So he hits your ankle, and you feel it begin to roll and slide as the moss is under you. But again, you manage to shift your weight, and you lean back, catch yourself with your arm on some of the more solid ground, and end up being able to roll out of it. So that way you do not get knocked down. That will be your turn. So you do effectively move the distance. You wanted to move 15 feet?
No, I wanted
or
to
your
move
full
30.
distance?
The 30,
30?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've moved your full distance. And were you trying to go more towards the opening to go back
The
to the
opening.
city?
Yeah, more towards the opening.
All right. So effectively, you're now 5 feet away from the opening as you run by Windboy, who is still bleeding and unconscious on the ground. So that will effectively end your turn, and we'll go back to Lance. So Lance is going to go ahead and just straighten himself out, and he's going to chase you down. So he's going to move his movement, and he's going to place himself right back, basically in your face, and attempt to swing again. Ooh, but he gets a 1. So he goes, and as he's attacking, he goes to swing, not realizing there was some more moss, and ends up slipping and slamming his club next to your foot in a way that, because it's hardened and how hard it hits, it has now socketed itself into the stone.
Gotcha.
That is going to be all of his turn, and it's back to yours once more.
As he slips on the moss, and I feel the wind of the club just go right past my head and slam into the stone, I'm thinking to myself, thank God for moss. I was hating it at first, but I'm gonna probably, if there was ever a god, and since I don't believe in him, but I think the god of moss would have been one I would have been thanking right now. I'm going to now use this opportunity to slip and move. The gap is right behind me. I could leave, but this guy Lance is still a problem, and he's going to be a problem until this is all said and done. I haven't really been able to land a really solid hit on this guy, and this guy's just built like a tank. And he was able to close that gap surprisingly fast for a big dude. I'm just like, man, I'm gonna have to play this in a way that I can take advantage of him. He's an earth guy. He's full of, and he's big and he's muscular. If I go into the city, I'm still stuck. I'm really thinking about this chance to leave. Instead, I end up swooping around, using this opportunity to move around and flank Lance as he's struggling with his club there, and move back 15 feet closer towards the water near Windboy, who was for some reason still down. And he's still unconscious this entire time. Poor
Yeah,
guy.
no, he was hit hard. So you can tell that from this, they mainly brought him to work out their scheme. They didn't really care about him, so they hit him hard.
So
He's
Windboy's on the way towards the water, right?
Yeah, you would have to head back a little bit towards the water.
All right. So if I head back towards the water and because I need to put the distance between me and him, as I'm heading back, I want to use I could split my movement, right? Move, attack, and move.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Absolutely.
cool. So I want to move 15 feet back halfway towards that water. Just quickly just move, and as I'm backing up, I want to aim as I reach that nice distance of about 10 or 15 feet and fire at the back of Lance, who's preoccupied with his club stuck in the ground.
Okay. So moving with your movement, moving 15 feet back, it is so even though he doesn't have his club, he can still do an unarmed strike on you as a reaction. While all this is going on, you're beginning to formulate how you're going to continue this attack, finish it, how you're going to get out. As you start your movement to move away, before he even takes his opportunity attack, you hear in the back of your head, why not jump? Come
Jumping
on,
gives me
it'll
enough.
be fun. I'll catch you.
Jumping would be a good idea. Instinctively, I change my mind and I go with a jump. I decide to jump straight up and as high as possible. How high can I jump?
Um, about 10, about 10 feet.
10 feet? You know what? I'm going to jump 10 feet straight in the air and fire down on his back, on his bent over back instead.
Okay. So you trust the voice that you hear, and
I
you
trust the
instinctually
voice.
jump. Okay.
There's always been a voice in my head, and I've heard this before. Um, and it's never really steered me wrong, though sometimes it's steered me dangerously close to trouble. But right now, I'm in trouble, and trouble's the only way out of this.
Excellent. So as you go to jump and you lift yourself, you muster the strength in your legs and you shoot yourself up, aiming down. And as you do, there's a cracking noise coming from where the club struck. And as you're still hovering in the air, steadying your crossbow, there's an additional beam that falls as well. And it's connected with these vines somehow, and you are entangled, and not in a dangerous way, but to where it catches you all around your waist and hoists you, and you're kind of stuck there as everything else where Lance and Windboy were standing crumbles and drops down into that gap, the same place Urgle went to. And you see now that that gap leads into blackness. Urgle is not, was no purchase for Urgle to find his body, and the rest of them follow suit. And you hear that voice once more. This will be fun. And you're effectively clutching onto these vines, looking into just darkness that falls hundreds of feet. And roughly about 5 feet away from you is one of the ledges that did survive next to the crack that will lead back to the city.
Breathing heavily, I just shit. Oh man. Oh fuck.
And it's around this time as you're feeling this emotion, you hear footsteps coming down and from the crack, and you hear voices shouting, "Who's down there? What's going on?"
I have got to bolt. I look work at the vines and I kind of work my way out of it a little bit so I can kind of use it as a swing to swing over to the ledge, landing on this one solid ledge, just being careful to just like park myself and make sure that I'm good. Um, the gap, most likely, the voices are probably coming from the standard direction that they would normally get down here. No one really knows about this gap as much, right?
Correct. So no one really knows about it, but there is another pathway that would lead naturally here. Yours is always like a shortcut that you're able to find, at least in
And
this part.
even though the ground gave away, does it allow me to go through the gap? Is there enough ledge for me to crawl through the gap with that, or is the gap
Yeah.
now? Okay.
Yeah, so you're where everything broke, it still left a ledge that was 5 feet from where you were dangling. So you could effectively just easily and then pop down with a little bit
All
of
right.
momentum.
So I use my momentum. I kind of use the vines as a swing and make sure that I'm not tangled. And I swing out and I land on the ledge, gripping onto the sides of the wall just to make sure I don't fall backwards. And with quick haste and just a quick glance, looking back at the dark abyss that these three bullies just fell into, I shake my head slightly for a moment, like, told you not to mess with me. And I start to huddle my way across. I didn't intend for them to die, but that's just what it is. But I don't have time to think about them right now. I know that if these guys find me here, that I'm going to get blamed for it. So I just scuttle across through, make my way through the gap, come out on the other side, and just breathe heavily for a second, look around to make sure that no one has seen me, and just put my head down and kind of pull my, you know, kind of pull my clothes up around my neck a little bit to try to be a little less conspicuous and just kind of just hurriedly walk, sticking to the lesser known streets to try to make my way back towards my home.
Okay. So you're making your way through the streets and you're passing by some people. You see a few of the city guard that are rushing to the area that you're leaving via some of the normal channels and normal runways, headed towards the noise as you're making your way out and going down some of the less known streets, the alleyways, and some of just the back roads that are less traveled. You do end up making your way home, and by this time it is evening. You took the longest way possible to ensure that if you were being followed or if anyone had any suspicions, that you gave yourself time to lose them.
I finally make it into the home. Uh, just one more glance before I walk into my actual front door to make sure that everyone is pretty much settled in and gone for the night. I just, I could already hear my mother's voice in my head, and it's just not going to be good. I open the door and I get inside, and there she is. I know she's there. She's just somewhere. I don't see her yet, but I know I could just feel that motherly
Oh no, the
presence.
moment you walk in the door, she is there. And
Damn
she
it.
is standing at you with the most stern, pissed off face you've ever seen your mother have.
I look at my mother with a heavy heart. So,
He's told me everything.
define everything. Probably not everything. Everything,
No, I
everything?
know about the boys. I know about them falling. And it took you damn near long enough to get home.
Would you believe me if I told you that I had only half to do with what happened out there?
Oh no, like I
Honestly.
said, he's told me everything. And you can see her clutching her amulet of persona that she normally
Look,
wears
wait,
around
wait.
her waist.
Look, wait, 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 wait. Mom, listen, listen. They attacked me. I was just hanging out. They attacked me. It went south. I tried to do what you told me to, and I tried to even get away, and they wouldn't let me. And next thing I know, the ground's opening up, and there's just things, and then like there's it's just crazy. I even did everything. I did everything you told me to do, and it still went down that way. I did not
And you
mean to
can
do
see
this.
she takes her eyes closed and she takes a big breath in and she looks at you, she goes, I know. Now we need to escape because they found the bodies.
I didn't kill him though.
Your bolts are in their bodies. It doesn't matter if you did, it's what they're going to perceive.
It's just not fair. It's just
It's
not
not.
fair.
But that's why he spoke to you. That's why he told you to jump.
Wait, you know about the voice?
The same voice that told me what happened. And she holds up her amulet of persona. And she says, that God that you don't always believe in,
Uh, uh, I don't know. I mean, I always just thought it was like my instincts or something. I didn't really think it was a god.
of course not. With a society as theocratic as this, it's hard to believe when there's so many fake believers. I'm not saying you have to believe, but I'm saying that he's there. And what I'm telling you now is you have to go. And she pulls out a pack that she has already pre-made. She goes, you're going to have to leave. I
Wait,
can't follow you.
you're not coming with me?
I can't.
Well, what am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do?
Follow the voice. You'll find your way, but you have to go now.
There's got to be a way that I could stay. I mean, there's got to be a way. I mean, there's no reason. I mean, where am I? How do I get out of here?
They've been looking for excuses for years to get rid of you. This is more than enough that they'll need regardless of what happened. You can find, and she moves what's always been a stone structure, a stone shaping of where your hearth fire in your home has been. She moves it aside, heavy. You hear it across the entire ground, and underneath it is a private channelway. And she says, follow this channelway. It'll lead you to the very epicenter of the original city. From there, follow it to the mainland and find new adventures, find a new life, find new hope elsewhere. But you cannot stay here. I cannot bear to see them take you from me, and I cannot bear to cause harm to those that I have grown with.
I'm sorry. I I didn't want this to happen. I I give her a hug. I just have to hold her. I know that this means that I'm not going to see her again. This means that I'm probably never going to see her again. And I don't care. I don't care if they come in the door right now. I just have to hold her for a moment. I just have to hug my mother, and I cry for a moment. I fucking hate this. Can't
She
stand
embraces
this.
you. She embraces you deeply and strong, and then she does the one thing she's always done whenever you felt like crying. She pulls up your face, she grabs you by the cheeks, and she smushes your face together, and she says, again, I've always been proud of you, and I always will be. We'll find a way somehow to clear this up, but as of right now, you have to go. I will love you and think of you every day, and if I find a way, I will reach out. And then she hands you the pack, and she ushers you in, and she reaches back once more right before she closes the hearthstone back above, and she reaches down. She goes, one last thing before you go, and she hands you this blade, which is a little bit of a different ornate blade that you've seen. It has some designs that of Persanthian inscriptions. However, it also has some ancient sea elf designs and works into it. And on the hilt, where your hand would be, you can see that by applying pressure, this blade releases itself and turns into a bladed whip. And she says, take this with you. This was mine before I found God. This will keep you safe. And this will remind you of me.
I hold the blade in my hand and I admire its etchings, and I look up to watch as the gap closes, and I see her trying to memorize every detail of her face, trying to make sure that I burn it into my memory, because this will probably be the last time I see my mother for a very long time, if ever. And the gap closes, and I feel the beating in my heart. And if it wasn't for my elven night vision, I wouldn't even be able to see the back of the stone as it finally disappears and the last ray of light leaves me in the darkness.
And so you take that moment and you listen, and it's silent up above, not just from the fact that nothing's happening, but from how well structured this private channel that is a little bit odd that your mother has this, that now that you think about it, but it's built sound. And you begin following through, and even with your night vision, because there is no light, you're able to see, but it is shades of black and gray. And so you travel through this using the channel, and it only goes one way. And it takes you about 2 days time, but you do get out. Your mother packed you some rations. She packed you spare food. She packed you as much as she could. And you find your way out onto the actual island, and you're looking back, and you can see built up on this island the very bottom original structure of Persanthin. And as it continues to tower up, and you see some of the separate water channels far in the distance leading off back into the ocean, and you look towards the mainland, and you start making your way across. And that's when we find our way back in the present day. You were there, standing there, your memory, your little daydream of you standing there once more, ready to begin your initiation for the Bounty Hunters Guild. As a leader, still giving her speech. You've missed all of it, but you remembered something more important, and you reach down and you still feel that blade that your mother's given you on your side. Reach up and you still feel the necklace that she had given you as well. Both of them giving you strength, giving you hope. and that's where we're going to go and end our session.
All right. God damn, my mom was prepared. She knew I was going to get kicked out. I knew it. She was like, this boy's going to get kicked out sooner or later. Woo,
There was a few ways that could have gone, so I'm glad it worked out that way.
Woo. I'm like, there's a voice in my head. Yeah, well, listen to the voice in my head.
Like, yeah, this is normal. Yeah, sure, jump. Wait, that was an actual thing?
Well, here's the thing is that I always find that if you listen to the voices in your head, you're either insane or you're very, very rational. And either way, you're gonna if by not listening to the voices in your head, you're more often screwed than not. So I'm gonna listen to the voices in my head, all of them.
So luckily, your dice on your first official rolls did not fail you.
Right?
So how did that feel?
I don't know. I'm almost afraid to get rid of this box. Like now I want to make sure like I almost wanted to put the camera. There was a moment there I was like, I should put a camera on this thing because there's no way. Like right now, 17. Look, like it rolled because I lifted it up. But like, I mean, honestly, if I wish I could just show you guys, I'm like, I'll do this again. That one was a 6. That one was a 5. I'm throwing it with more umph than I was before. Hold on. Before I was just doing a little toss. There you go. 16.
Yeah, they were there.
14.
They're there for you when you needed them, and then
I know, right?
Great when you didn't need it, and it worked out.
The moss.
You're like, fuck, I hate this moss. You're like, I love this moss. At the end, moss for life.
If I had enough time, if the ground had gone away, I'd be like, can I gather up some of this moss and put it in a bag for me? I'm just going to use this moss.
Like a little Lucky Charm.
Yeah, just a little.
It's like, what should we do? Oil slip? Nah, moss.
I'm gonna throw more moss. I'm like, I'm gonna start carrying moss in my bag. Everyone's gonna be like, why you got moss in your bag? You're like, you never know when you need some good moss. Oh man, that was fun. That was real fun.
It's always fun seeing how things turn out because like, yeah, you watch something happen and the dice are like yes or no with it, or it's like somewhere in the middle, but something happens. And once you start adding more players into it, that's where the chaos is going to truly unfold, especially with the member that you'll be with. Jay, you're in for some fun times.
I could already see myself going, and I go and do this awesome thing, and then Jay's like, yeah, I tripped him, and then I tripped Damian for no reason because he's just, whatever. And I'm like,
slap in the back of the head.
I'm like, you bastard. Why am I fighting with this guy? Why is he my friend? Yeah, it was a good thing too, because I was really worried about that last move. I was like, okay, well, I'm down to about 1 hit point.
Yeah, he was getting low. I was calculating. I was like, wait, he took the 4, he took the 2, he took the 1. I'm like, it's getting kind of close.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I'm down to like 1, and I'm going to either get knocked out or because at this point, I mean, oh boy, was first of all the double cross. I'm like, come on, man. Damn, DM got me double cross. Here I was
classic. It's classic backstory trope, the double cross.
I'm like, damn it, man. Here I was I'm trying to do the best. I'm trying not to be the devil bastard that everyone says I am, and they made me want to have to kill him anyway. So I'm like, all right, well, that's why at the end I was like, fuck Argon. He fell in the hole. I don't give a damn anymore. I already tried to save his ass once. I'm not doing it again. I was at that point. I was just like, you died, you bastard. You double.
And then you got a pony kick. Thank you to the chest. You got knocked back in.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm glad I was responsible for his death. I wish I would have taken Lance out on my own, but you know what? A little God help is I don't mind a little assist from time to time.
I think my favorite character in your little session 0 was Windboy because he had all of his 1 moment of glory, then was betrayed because he was pulled against his will, and then died because someone else did something.
Just bashed him in the back of the head. And first sad thing is I probably, you know what, like on another day, me and Windboy might have actually shared a lunch, and I might have not thought of him so bad, but he was laying on the ground when the whole ground went away. So I'm like, that's what you get, Windboy. I'm like,
use your wind to save you now.
I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, I'm not even gonna remember your name. You're now Windboy. You farted at me and pushed me back 10 feet. So
I do hope you enjoyed your session. It was a good first as far as experience for you overall. As far as storytelling, I hope this lived up to your backstory so far that you fed through.
Yeah,
See how
no,
that
it's
turns out.
fantastic. My mom's all full of mysteries, and I'm gonna try to figure out because she has a sword that's badass, and she has I don't even know who my dad is, and she's got a secret passage. I mean, how many moms got secret passages sitting there chilling in their yard in their I'm like, you're respected, and you got a sword like this. You all about God, but you have some darkness in your past. I'm
She's
looking forward to figuring.
respected. She's badass, but the best part about her is that she knows when to be silly. She saw you crying, was like, "Smush FaceTime. I don't want to see
Yeah.
this as the last face I see from you."
Yeah, nah. I mean, to be honest, that sounds exactly like my mom. So I'm good. I'm happy with that.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, fantastic. I learned a few things. I learned about my crossbow and my range. Got to remember that range is, got to stay out of that little close-up range. But that's gonna probably I'm gonna work on that. Um, and man, I need to really work on my constitution because I'm gonna need to pick that up seriously. My little 9 hit points is like nothing. Windboy
Yeah.
almost took me out with this damn
As you
fart.
go up in levels, it'll allow you to add more, pick a better stat or improve stat blocks, or you can also choose feats with feats or additional benefits and abilities that you can do for certain things. We'll get that more into that as we start leveling up. So I think by the time you and Jay start, you guys I'll probably start you off a little bit higher level so we can start getting to some more strategic fun and see how
Mhm.
you guys do with that. But overall, I mean, yeah, that was our session
Thanks,
0.
man. This was awesome. I'll take it.
Glad you liked it.
All right. I guess what we do. Sign off. See you next time. How we do
So,
this?
guys, stay tuned for the next, continuation of the Fool's Bounty. Next time we will have Jane. We'll be officially starting the Fool's Bounty adventure overall. So
Sweet.
stay tuned. Look forward. Don't forget we do streams Wednesday nights, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and stay tuned for some of our other content that's going to be coming in as well. Deuces.
Peace.
Let's go.